Hey, what's good, Flock? I would like to welcome you to episode 5 of Flock Talk. I'm your host, Mr. CharmCity, and today I want to talk to you about last week's Ravens victory against the Denver Broncos, and I also want to give y'all my keys to victory for tonight's game against the Indianapolis Colts. So, let's start with last Sunday's game. Ravens defeat the Denver Broncos 23-7. And it was a great overall performance by the team, man. The offense passing game was clicking on all cylinders. Defense was very disruptive, made it hard for those Denver quarterbacks. And we're going to get into a few of my observations from that game. So I want to start with the positive. Number one, Hollywood Brown gets back on track. And it was a beautiful thing to see, man. Lamar and Hollywood connected for that beautiful 49-yard bomb. Hollywood stretched out, made a beautiful diving catch. And it was just great to see Hollywood do what he does best, and that's make plays. Sunday's game was one of those games that remind you how talented Hollywood Brown really is. And as I told you in the previous video, even though, the drops the previous week were disappointing, I know Hollywood has hands. I know Hollywood could catch. And, he proved it once again to all the doubters that, yes, he's indeed a playmaker in the NFL. So that was my number one positive. That was a beautiful thing to see. Another thing, James Prochet finally gets involved in the offense in the regular season. Now, leading up to this season in training camp and even in the preseason games, James Prochet, he flashed that talent that we all knew he had ever since we drafted him out of SMU. And man, it was just very nice to see him involved in the passing game last week, see him make some plays. He actually had 5 catches for 74 yards. And I think this is the beginning of the James Prochet breakout. He was a guy that I was very excited, very high on coming into the season. So last week, it was a beautiful thing to see him live up to all that potential and shows that he can make plays in the NFL when it really counts during the regular season. So that was another positive. Lamar Jackson cooking in the passing game. Man, Lamar was throwing the ball all over the field. Last Sunday's performance was actually his second highest passing yardage total of his career. He had 316 yards passing, threw a touchdown. And yeah, man, he was just throwing the ball all over the field. You saw the deep ball, you saw the intermediate passes, you seen the little short passes, and he was just clicking. He's hitting it. Just in case if you didn't know, Lamar's actually leading the league right now in passing yards per attempt, per completion. So basically, he's completing passes for a higher yardage than any other quarterback in the NFL. And as a Baltimore Ravens fan, it's a wonderful thing to see because, that's what Lamar gets criticized about, his inability to pass the ball. But he time and time again shows that he's one of the best quarterbacks passing the ball in the league. So, it's sweet to see the stats reflect what us true Ravens and Lamar fans already know. So, yeah, Lamar was throwing that thing all over the yard, and I expect to see more of that as the season goes on. I expect to see more of that tonight. All right, another positive from last week's game, the defense got a lot of pressure. They got pressure on Teddy Bridgewater, Teddy Two Gloves early in the game. Actually, a hit that Oway got on Bridgewater actually knocked him out of the game with a concussion. And then when Drew Lock came in, it was just more of the same, man. We had Denver's quarterbacks off balance the entirety of the game. We had 5 sacks total, 2 by Tyus Bowser, 1 by Matabuke, 1 from Justin Houston, and 1 from Oway. And man, if our pass rush can continue this on, and even take it up another notch the rest of the season, man, our defense are going to pay the dividends that we were expecting, coming into the season. It's very encouraging to see our young guys like Oway and Matabuke, make these plays. It's great to see Justin Houston, our veteran acquisition, basically pay the dividends. He's showing us the reason why we brought him in to help get pressure on the quarterback. And Tyus Bowser, man. Tyus Bowser is a player that I'm so high on, man. A guy that has all the talent in the world, and we've seen it throughout his his Ravens career. It seemed prior to this year he made most of his plays as a coverage linebacker. He's had some great interceptions, some great passes defense in the past. But this year, we're starting to see more of Tyus' ability in the pass rush department. And if Tyus can continue to deliver like this throughout the season, man, Tyus was a guy that I was really hoping the Ravens, re-signed and brought back. So yeah, it's a great thing to see him out there flourishing right now, man. And like I said, with these young guys we got, Oweh, Matabuke, if they can continue to provide this pressure throughout the year, hey, we working with something. We working with something, man. You know that's the key to our defense, getting pressure on the quarterback. And the more times we can put that quarterback on the mat, hey, that's just going to equal a winning recipe for the Ravens. So that's another thing I was excited about. And the last thing I have listed as a positive is that we limited the Broncos offense to 284 total yards, man. So like I said, that was an awesome defensive performance. They only had 178 yards passing, and they had 106 yards in the rush game. Now, they ran the ball a little too effectively for my liking, and we'll get into that with some of these negatives, but like I said, we did a great job defending the pass, though. So, yeah, very encouraging, man. Very excited to see that. Let's get into these negatives from last week's game. Now, this might be cherry picking a little bit, but I'm going to discuss it anyway. The Ravens didn't run the ball as effectively as they usually run the ball. I'm not going to say it was disappointing because it was clear that the Ravens expected the Broncos to go all out to stop the run game. And that's why we attacked them through the air and we were very successful doing so. But running the ball, stopping the run, that's just the Ravens' bread and butter. So, when we don't have our usual results running the ball, I mean, that's something that's going to stick out. It wasn't something that was a detriment to us in this particular game, but it's something I did notice. So, we had 102 yards rushing for the game. And of course, we know about the last rush of the game for us, when we ran the ball basically to maintain our record of consecutive games rushing for 100 yards. There was a little controversy there. The Broncos coach had some words for Harbaugh. Harbaugh returned some words to him. And, it was a little back and forth. Me personally, I just don't think that particular play was dramatic enough to really have all this talk going on about it that we heard about it all last week leading up to this game. I mean, listen, it was one of the safest running plays I've ever seen in my life, we didn't fire, our offensive lineman didn't fire off the ball. Man, everybody just pretty much ran to the left of the field. Lamar just followed them, slid down to the ground. We kept our consecutive 100-yard game rushing streak alive. And yeah, the Broncos coach got a little bit in his feelings, but hey, man, it is what it is. We're not even going to stress that. But yeah, we only ran the ball for 3.4 yards per carry. And like I said, that's just very un-Raven-like. I would definitely like to see that in the mid 4.5 yards per carry at least. But like I said, it's kind of nitpicking because clearly our game plan was to throw the ball, and we did so very effectively. That's just something I want to point out, though, for the fans. And while we're talking about the rushing game, so Latavius Murray, he was the leading ball carrier. He had 18 carries, 59 yards, only 3.3 yards per carry, but he did have a touchdown. Le'Veon Bell only got 4 carries. This was his first game actually playing for the Ravens. 4 carries, 11 yards, only 2.8 yards per carry. And Devontae Freeman had 1 carry, 4 yards. So like I said, not the best rushing game, but hey, it is what it is. Yeah, Lamar didn't, run the ball as much either 7 carries, 28 yards, 4 yards per carry. So, one of my other negatives, and of course, none of these negatives I'm pointing out really affected the game, but I think they're worth mentioning. The defense only had 1 turnover. Anthony Averett had the interception in the end zone late in the game, basically to seal the deal. And I just want to see the defense get back to being that ball hawking defense that creates these turnovers, either interceptions, forced fumbles. Just getting the ball back for the offense. That's one thing the Ravens defense has always been known for. We've been doing this, doing this for years. Turning the ball over. So I'm hoping that in the future, hopefully starting with tonight's game, that we can start getting more turnovers, man. The defense is getting pressure on the quarterback, so let's get the ball back for the offense as well. So, one other thing, man, too many yards per carry for these Denver Broncos, man, and it goes back to something that's been haunting the defense the entire season so far, and that's just poor tackling. Man, we got to do a better job wrapping up and getting these guys on the ground, man. Even though, the Broncos overall, their offense wasn't too effective against our defense, when they did run the ball, they were able to run effectively. And even though it really didn't have that big of an impact on the outcome of the game, as a Ravens fan, I just don't like to see ball carriers getting a lot of yards when they carry the ball, man. It's simple as that. Let's get into the stats a little bit. So Melvin Gordon, he had 9 carries, 56 yards, 6.2 yards per carry. I don't like to see other teams running the ball that effectively. That's the type of yards per carry I'm used to the Ravens running backs getting, man. I don't like to see the shoe on the other foot. It's just too many yards per carry, man. Williams, the Broncos rookie running back, he had 7 carries, 48 yards, 6.9 yards per carry. And of course, he had that one particular run that stands out. I think it was, a 31-yarder where he broke multiple tackles, took Marlon Humphrey for a ride. I think Marlon was trying to punch the ball out, and that's why he was kind of getting carried like that. And listen, I'm all for the turnovers, as I just mentioned. But sometimes you just got to get the guy on the ground, man. Just get the guy on the ground. Get him down. Let's go to the next play. So we got to do a better job wrapping up, man. Linebackers, secondary, defensive linemen, got to wrap up, guys. Got to make the tackles, man. Because luckily, poor tackling didn't break us the previous game. But as we know, in the NFL, it's only a matter of time before poor tackling comes back to bite you in the butt. So let's not get bit in the butt, man. All right. So, that's pretty much my summary for the Ravens' victory against the Denver Broncos. We're going to now get into my keys to victory for tonight's game against the Indianapolis Colts. But I'm going to give you a brief injury report before we get in that. So, starting with the Ravens injury. So, as I think most people are aware of by now, Ronnie Stanley has been out, the past few games. He played, the initial game 1 against the Raiders, but he's been out since then. And he's going to be out again tonight. So, no Ronnie Stanley. The things that we have to, the 2 guys we got to look out for tonight is Alejandro Villanueva and Deshaun Elliott. They're both questionable, and I haven't heard one way or another yet whether they're playing or not. So definitely, like I say, keep your notifications on your phone. I'm sure you guys got, you follow the NFL sources on Twitter. You probably got, the NFL.com app, ESPN. Keep your notifications on so we can find out whether those 2 guys are going to play tonight or not. Now, on the Colts side of the things, they've got 3 significant guys out. Defensive end Kwity Paye, right tackle Braden Smith, and cornerback Rock Ya-Sin. I hope I'm pronouncing his name correct. But all 3 of those guys are out for the Colts, and all 3 of those guys are starters, so whenever you lose a starter, that's a significant loss. So they'll be down 3 of their starters for tonight's game. Now let's get into the keys for Ravens victory. Number one, and this is always going to be a key coming from me every week for the Ravens, and that's to get pressure on whomever we're facing's quarterback. And tonight, of course, it's the Indianapolis Colts. So we've got to get pressure on Carson Wentz. Yeah, Carson Wentz, he's a guy with a lot of talent. Injuries and questionable decisions has kind of slowed his career trajectory down some, but he's still a good quarterback. He can move in the pocket, he can run a little bit, he can make plays downfield. So you want to get pressure on Carson Wentz and force him into turnovers. Because the one thing I know about Carson Wentz is that if you get him back there and you rattle him a little bit, get him a little antsy in that pocket, he will make mistakes. So I'm hoping we can apply pressure to him as we did to Teddy Bridgewater and Drew Lock last week. That'll go a long way to sealing a victory for the Ravens. All right. We've got to limit the Colts' running game. The Colts have a very good running game led by second-year running back Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor is a strong, explosive running back that can ruin your game plan if you let him get started, get going early, man. Like I said, he's a great runner. He's solid in the passing game. He can make guys miss. He can run guys over. He's one of the guys that last year you heard a lot of debate about who's the better rookie running back, Jonathan Taylor, J.K. Dobbins. He actually led all rookies in a rushing last year, Jonathan Taylor. So this guy's an explosive player that the Ravens definitely have to stop him from getting going, because you get him going, that just opens everything up for that Colts offense. So we've got to stop Jonathan Taylor. And they also have 2 other very good running backs. Nyheim Hines, he's actually a pass. He's a specialist catching the ball. Very good pass catcher for the Colts. But he's also effective in a running game. So you don't want Hines to get started. And they also have Marlon Mack, who made his season debut for the Colts last week. And yeah, he's coming off of a season-ending injury from last year. But he's another guy that's a beast. If he gets going, that could be a scary prospect, man. So we've got to limit all 3 of these running backs, man. We can't allow their running game getting on track being the reason that they make this a game tonight. So we got to shut that down. And in the passing game, we also have to limit their big receiver, Michael Pittman. Michael Pittman's a big guy, man. I think he's about 6'4", 6'5". Got to be all of 225, 230. And, he's got that prototypical post you up size, that you like in a bigger receiver. And he can make plays down the field. Like I said, he's big as heck, strong as hell. So, he can drag you down the field, man. He can body you up, sort of, Calvin Johnson like. Not, well, you know what I'm saying. He's a big guy like Calvin Johnson. He's not Megatron, but he's not a bum either, He's a big guy that can make plays, and he's definitely somebody we need to limit. Taking Pittman out of their game plan, yeah, that'll definitely lower their odds of being effective tonight. So gotta stop Big Pittman, man. He's somebody that last year when he was coming into the league, he was somebody I was hoping the Ravens would take a look at and maybe draft. We didn't do it, but yeah, he's a guy with a lot of talent, man. So we've got to be wary of Michael Pittman tonight. All right. Some other keys. We can't allow DeForest Buckner to wreck the game, for our offense. DeForest Buckner, he sets the tone for that entire Indianapolis Colts defense, man. He's the big man in the middle. He can stuff the run. He can get after the passer. He's not quite a Aaron Donald, but he's a beast. And even though he may not be Aaron Donald level, he can just destroy your offensive game plan, man. So I'm sure we're going to be doubling, triple teaming him all night just to, stop his effectiveness, man. And you've got to. He's that good. And of course, they also had standout linebacker Darius Leonard, one of the best middle linebackers in the NFL. It's somebody that we definitely got to keep an eye on, man, because a lot like DeForest Buckner, he's a guy that can wreck your offensive game plan. So we need to do what we can to, keep Buckner and Leonard at bay. Also, I want to see us establish our run game better this week. Get back to our bread and butter, running that ball and running it for a lot of yards per carry. And of course, running the ball effectively, that'll set up that play action for Lamar. And thus far this season, Lamar's been one of the best QBs in the league, with the play action. So, run the ball effectively, open up things downfield, man. It's the recipe to success in the NFL. And when the Ravens can perform this particular thing at a high level, man, it's tough to beat this offense. I love seeing how the passing game really showed out last week. So if we couple that passing game with our normal effective running game, man, the Ravens offense will be a dangerous, scary sight out there, man. And there won't be too many defenses lining up to come see about that. I think Lamar's once again, he does it every week. He does it every year. It just proves to the league more and more that he's something the league has never seen. And I've always thought when Lamar's passing ability just catches up with everything else that makes Lamar the great QB he is, game's over, man. And it's starting to look like the game's over, man, because Lamar's playing his tail off out there, man. So yeah, very excited about that. And also, just sticking with the passing game, a lot like we did last week, I just want to see us attack the entire field. Continue to attack the entire field, throwing the ball. I want to see the deep passes. I want to see, us throwing the ball across the middle. I want to see us, getting the ball outside the numbers to our receivers. Just attack them in every way possible, man. You got to make those NFL defenses defend every blade of grass out there on the field. And that'll be a key not only for this game, but the season as a whole. Continue to make these defenses defend every part of that field, man. So yeah, that's my offensive keys for tonight's game. And in summary, if the Ravens can do most of those things effectively, I'm pretty confident that this game will be a Ravens victory tonight. They're back in the city tonight, back at M&T, back at the bank. So, hey, what better way to, make yourself back at home than to go out there and beat up on that team that crept out on all of Baltimore years ago back in the 80s, man. Of course, I was born in 1984, so if my memory serves me correctly, that's the same year that the Colts left Baltimore to go to Indianapolis, So I was never alive to be a Baltimore Colts fan, but just this love that I have for my city, man. I automatically inherited this Colts hate, So yeah, I mean, I'm very upset that they left the beautiful city of Baltimore to go to Indianapolis, but it's all good because guess what? In 1996, Art Modell brought that team from Cleveland to Baltimore. The Baltimore Ravens were born, and ever since that moment, man, I've been the biggest Ravens fan I think there is. And I'm sure a lot of y'all would like to compete with me for that title, but hey, man, listen. Bro, I've been in this thing since 1996, man. I've been loving this team since the minute they came into existence, man. And I'm going to continue to love the team until the day I no longer exist. So Hey, it's a beautiful thing. But yes, I would like to tell y'all all that I appreciate y'all watching this video. Please check out my previous videos, and please check out my videos to come. Y'all be safe. Coming live from the Ravens lair, Mr. CharmCity signing off. Let's go Ravens.